I think so. Hello, hello. I think the microphone is on. And I think we're at our time now, so I think we can start. I can't see you because I'm being dazzled by lights. It feels like I'm a celebrity. I'm up here with my 4 panel members. Helena from Switzerland, Liina Maria from Estonia, Liisa from Finland, and Maša from Slovenia. We've got a really practical and insightful session coming up. Over the next 90 minutes, we're going to be looking at sustainable tourism programs and how they're used by NTOs to achieve national goals. I'm going to set the scene, give you an overview of some of the different approaches. I've been working in sustainable tourism for around 20 years, and I've been involved in the development of various tools and certifications. I've more recently been working with governments to determine the programs that are going to be most suitable for them to achieve their national goals and to help support economic growth as well as the other pillars of sustainability. And I've also been working on a few different research projects looking at how NTOs use the different certifications and different international standards to run their programs. So I'm just going to give an overview, and then we've got a panel, then we'll hear from our panel, and then we'll have the Q&A. So do use Slido to ask questions. Hopefully the tech will work, and I'll be able to see your questions up here, and we can vote for the most popular questions and put those to our panel members. So, what I mean by sustainable tourism schemes, sustainable tourism programs in this presentation, quite a broad definition. We're really looking at schemes developed to meet an international set of standards. So that could be criteria, it could be certifications, it could be verifications, it could be awards. Generally, we'll use certifications as a bit of a catch-all term because it's the most robust, requiring third-party audit. But we'll really be looking at how destinations, include some or all of these into their national programs. And you will hear from the panel that actually they can be used really quite differently. We're all aware there are hundreds of certifications, and it can get really confusing. So how do you work out amongst all of these certifications which might be the best fit for you and really help you achieve your national aims? There's no one standard approach, there's no kind of cookie cutter, but that's actually really great because it means you can take what you need from the different programs or take bits of the different programs and really make something all your own that really works for you and your situation in your country. We're going to focus on programs at national level, although if you work at regional level or local level, I think you'll still find some really useful stuff in this session. We've heard today that more and more countries are developing national programs, and we'll hear more about the benefits of that and the reasons behind it from our lovely panelists here, and we'll also hear about some of the differences in the way that they're run. And you can see how different they are from this chart here. You know, you can see some destinations really recognize only a handful of international schemes, whereas for others it really works to recognize lots and lots of different certifications, and others are somewhere in between. Why this difference? What are the reasons? Some programs have developed before international standards were in existence. So Norway, for example, launched right back in 2010 before any of the GSTC criteria or other international standards were launched. So they had to design something themselves. Others have developed more recently, and so they're really able to benefit from the framework and criteria of existing national certifications and standards and build something on top of those, using those to suit themselves. Or they can base a program on recognition of different certifications, or perhaps choose to just work with one. Most countries, Norway and there are a few others are exceptions, but most countries haven't opted to create their own system from scratch. And the reasons for this are, it's quite complex. It will generally require, expert input, which can be quite expensive. Existing certifications have also been refined over many years and improved, and most of them have quite sophisticated software kind of sitting behind them, helping with things like monitoring or reporting, and that again can be quite complicated, a bit of a headache to replicate or to build from scratch. Crucially, international standards also have the quality recognition or accreditation that can take many years to achieve. And lots of them now have the flexibility to build something bespoke and allow white labeling, which means that the national program can be powered by, can be underpinned by the standards, the internationally recognized standards of the international certification, while being presented to stakeholders with a meaningful national brand. So in many ways, it doesn't make sense to rewrite the wheel. There is an obvious concern about leakages, especially for countries in the global south, and that's justifiable, but kind of needs to be offset against the costs and the leakages that would result from developing your own system. So let's look at some of the ways that national programs can be designed. When it comes to destination positioning, if a country is, wanting to position itself as natural and green and pristine, certifications add credibility, they help with differentiation, they can help bring a new market, help raise awareness and bring a new, more educated, culturally sensitive market to the destination, and can also help with product development, with product lines being able to be developed to monetize the certification. National programs, skip to slide. There we go. National programs can also be tailored to prioritize sustainable development by bringing communities together to agree sustainability solutions. So as an example, a requirement that certifications need a certain percentage of businesses to be certified before a destination can even qualify means that those in the local authority and community groups in the destination have to engage businesses to be able to move forward. So it can really help with community cohesion there. Some destinations use international certifications as a shortcut to prove that businesses have achieved a certain level of sustainability. It means that rather than the NTOs having to check that this has been done, they can leave that headache to the certification body, while still promoting the sustainable businesses under one label, which is obviously much easier for consumers then to find and to locate those products. Programs can also be tailored to meet specific goals around, for example, climate. So standards from international certifications can be supplemented with national criteria. So, for example, net zero criteria or disaster preparedness. Certain criteria can be upweighted if they're particularly relevant to the destination. There are also standards based on specific issues. Oceanic Global's certification on plastic reduction is one of them. Adoption of international standards can be flexible as long as the core requirements are met. If your destination wants to promote cultural or community tourism assets, for example, it can design and position a national program around it, draw out those elements when promoting it. Job creation, skills development, reduction of leakages, they're all key elements of most national programs. It can also build capacity, for example, by training a network advisors who can be hired by business and destinations to coach on sustainability and the certification. That creates employment. It also takes pressure off the NTO. And you'll hear some schemes are quite light touch, or others are much more involved. It just depends on what suits the country. If you're at the start of the journey and are struggling with competing priorities, you can work with stakeholders to identify the issues that they think a national program should solve. So I recently worked with a government wanting to identify what kind of program they should use, and we developed these radar diagrams using multi-criteria decision analysis to map the priorities of a cross-section of stakeholders against the attributes of various certifications to work out the best fit. Then we also designed a system of governance and implementation to involve communities and create jobs. So just finishing off, things to think about. What does your program need to achieve? What are the goals? What kind of quality do you need? How high do you want to set the bar? Do you want more engagement, but not quite so robust, or less engagement, but very high quality? Also consider your resources and how much you have available. One of the things that I've heard a lot from NTOs is that the work snowballs as more destinations and businesses get involved, lots more work. So factor in scaling from the outset. It's also important to recognize that a certification program won't achieve sustainability goals on its own. It needs to be part of a wider sustainable tourism plan. This is not, maybe because I'm over time, this is not moving. Is that why? It's because I'm over time? I don't know. It's, anyway, let's just, I think I'm just on my summary slide now, which is just kind of saying, what do you need to, look at what you need to achieve, use what's there already, think about the resources you've got available, and feel that flexibility to be able to develop something that suits your situation. Okay, I think I'd better hand over to our next presenter. Helena, here you go.
Thank you. So, can you hear me? Perfect. Did you know that 95% of the Swiss households are within a 5-minute walk of a bus station or a public transport station? No? No worries, I don't know that as well. So I'd like to start with an overall four objectives of our program Swisstainable. We found our own way, as usual. Switzerland found its own way. For us, the overall four objectives are orientation for our guests. Secondly, the inspiration and the support for a whole industry. The launch of an effective movement within a whole sector and within Switzerland as well. And to position Switzerland as the most sustainable travel destination in the world. Let me start with the political context. Within the global reference framework of the SDGs, the Swiss Federal Council has developed the Sustainable Development Strategy. It was published in June 21. The strategy is now designed for 10 instead of the previous 4 years, and they set out or had as priority 3 different topics. It is sustainable consumption and production, it is climate, energy and biodiversity, and it is equal opportunities and social cohesion. The strategy also sets out how the economy can drive sustainable development, and tourism as a cross-cutting sector make an important contribution to achieving this goal. And this is now where our tourism strategy comes into play. The Federal Council adopted a new strategy for tourism in November 21 as a basis of as next step of the Sustainable Development Strategy. The objectives of the Confederation's previous tourism strategy remains the same and had maintained improved framework conditions, for example, promote entrepreneurship and so on. But in addition, they added one goal. It was contributing to sustainable development. And this considers the fact that sustainable development has gained importance for tourism and offers numerous opportunities. This, for short, for the political context. Before we get into the Swisstainable program approach, I'd like to share with you, by way of introduction, our strategy for sustainable tourism, of which the program is a very important integral part of. In addition to the Swisstainable program, the Swisstainable campaigns and the communication are for sure an important part as well, but also Switzerland Tourism advocates even spread of visitor numbers, the year-round tourism, and the most important one, longer stays. And now let's dive deep into the program itself. First, I'd like to emphasize that our program is not a label, not a classical label. It is also not a new certification scheme. It's more a holistic approach, a holistic program that builds on existing credentials to provide more guidance and transparency. Thank you. So this is the strategy. And then let's go to the 3 levels approach of the program itself. So it is not a classical label, it's not a new certification, it's a holistic approach that builds on existing certification to provide more guidance and orientation for our guests. The certification are summarized in the Swisstainable program in various forms of sustainability credential. Recognizing existing form of credentials allow us to consider many positive developments without having to establish a time-consuming control system. We divide it into 3 different levels. We have level 1 committed, level 2 engaged, and level 3 leading that consider the different requirements of commitment to sustainability. The program is designed for organization, so it's on the organization and on the businesses level, with visible tourist and tourism-related offers of all kinds, and not for destination in a surface understanding. This is very important. Entry into the program via level 1 is intentionally kept easy. This level is aimed for companies and organizations that do not have any or no recognized certification, and they like to make their first steps towards sustainability. For level 2 and 3, the organizations have already sustainability certificates, and they have a high level of commitment to sustainability. As already mentioned, the program is based on these 3 different levels, and accordingly, the companies must provide different tools and proofs at each level. Concretely, we have a commitment, we have a sustainability check, and an action plan. By signing the commitment, the organizations confirm their commitment to sustainability and manifest that they support the values of the program. The sustainability check is a tool that enables the companies to see where they currently stand and where they have still potential for optimization. The sustainability check also serves as a basis for an action plan. At levels 2 and 3, additional proofs of sustainability has to be submitted, which are recognized at the respective levels. I will come later on this. The credentials for level 3 are so holistic and comprehensive that the sustainability check and the action plan for this level are covered by the credential and therefore do not have to be submitted additionally. As already mentioned, Swisstainable is intended to create transparency and orientation as a kind of umbrella or meta program by uniting all the credentials under one roof or under one umbrella. That brings me to the last and the most important tool. It is the recognized credentials, which is a collective term for the number of sustainability labels, quality seals, standards, certification, and awards in the label jungle out there. We have heard it from Rachel. The forms of sustainability credential are many and varied, and they differ in terms of aspiration level, thematic diversity, transparency, and process requirements. At this very moment, we have around 90 different sustainability credentials recognized on level 2 and 3, ranging from Swiss labels to internationally recognized labels such as EarthCheck, Green Globe, TourCert, we know it all. The catalog of sustainability credentials constantly being expanded. We have an external group of experts which are currently checking new sustainability credentials, integrating them into the program. Fortunately, this is not our or my job, and we can preserve our so important Swiss neutrality. So, now just a few words to the standards of the program. We needed 3 years for the development, and we launched the program in May 21. We were able to hand over the operational office of the program to the Swiss Tourism Federation in beginning of this year, in January. And the program, or the operational program, is now newly integrated into the newly created Competence Center for Sustainability. We are taking care of the marketing of the program, which is the right position and the right approach. It was developed from the industry for the industry, so we have 13 different organizations behind, as you can see on this slide. To get as many service providers interested into the program, we are highlighting often the benefits, like marketing activities, specific sustainable marketing activities, new target groups, positioning, stuff like this, and for sure also the topics of contribution to the sustainable development and as positive economic impact. We have now, after 1.5 years, 1,450 businesses which are part of the program. These are distributed across numbers service provider categories. The most strongly one are for sure hotels, then gastronomy, and also non-hotel accommodations and DMOs. The number of companies is very pleasing and shows that the program has found acceptance within the market and within the industry. We are pleased that the program is also being implemented in all our language region, which is a big, big topic in our country. What else? What next? We heard repeatedly how closely sustainability or sustainable development at the level of operations is linked to the development of destination. This is our next step. We want not only to offer a program that works for businesses, but also a program which helps destination in future. So we are currently in the pilot phase and happy to officially launch the Sustainable Destination Approach then in spring next year. One word to the fundings. It's not easy to put the figure on the costs of such a program, as so many stakeholders have been involved, but give me a try. The program itself can be quantified, or the design of the program can be quantified with 50,000 Swiss francs. We calculate with running costs of 150,000 to 200,000 Swiss francs per year for the administrative management and the further development. That means 2 full-time employees and 100% by position. Generally, participation for the businesses in the program is free of charge, but this does not mean that the participating organizations do not have any follow-up costs for possible certification or even sustainable measures. And now, just a few learnings.
I think it stops when you're out of time, because that's what it did for me.
This is but it's a good.
I mean, it forces you to end, doesn't it?
We can speak about the learnings later on. So, Liina, it's your turn.
Thank you very much, Helena.
One has to speak really quickly now.
Yes.
I do love the saying that if you are the strongest in the gym, then you're probably in the wrong gym. So thank you, GSTC, for having us over, because we are definitely in the right gym. In that sense that we have been learning a lot from our fellow countries' experience, and also we are not ready with our national program yet. So very honored. But as we love to say in Estonia that nature is in our nature, we tend to forget what we have. We tend to more focus on what we don't have and then be very critical about ourselves. but when the Sustainable Travel Index ranked us number 4th in the world regarding sustainable travel, that was a kind of a wake-up call for us, in that sense that we have a lot of sustainable solutions and the sustainable mindset, but we don't have a structured plan yet, or a strategy in that sense. But my time isn't yet over. Oh God, I have 9 minutes left. No? Oh yes.
There we go.
So a bit about the Estonian model. Yes, I as a former director of the Estonian Tourist Board, I'm covering the tourism side at the moment, but now the Visit Estonia is under the organization, the government agency Enterprise Estonia, which in the management I am now responsible for tourism and export and foreign investments. But tourism is doing a lot already, but to be frank, then our government has agreed on all the overall principles and measures and Fit for 55 and all kinds, but internally in Estonia we don't have a proper goals or paths still in place how to move on. And we work under the Ministry of Economic Affairs, and they have given us the responsibility to do the sustainable transition within all kinds of companies. And with that, we are still in the beginning phase. So the government, our organization is maybe slow, but tourism-wise, we have been always, there's been a dilemma whether we expect for the government and the organization to step in, or we move in our own tempo. So this is what we have done. We have been active in sustainable more than 20 years, actually, whether we recognize it or not. But now my true belief is that actually tourism should be the forerunner of sustainability. Although we know that the manufacturers, they have the greater impact environmental-wise, that if they are sustainable, then the environment as such is also in a better shape. But tourism impacts the people's mindset. People love to live in a sustainable environment, and they love to experience sustainable solutions, which sustainable tourism does offer them. And changing people's mindset is the hardest. And behind every company, there is a person. And people are the ones that actually force the changes, also when they are the CEOs of some kind of manufacturing companies. So therefore, services are easier to change, the investments are smaller, but the impact regarding the people might be much bigger. So, but our organization as such is now also working that in the year of 2027, we will start restriction the services we offer to our clients. So if our clients are not started the sustainability path, they have not the ESG policies in place, or they haven't stepped any steps towards carbon neutrality, for example, then we will limit the services. And our organization services are very wide. So we are now in the carrot phase, moving to the stick phase. But we work together with the destinations a lot. This is one way to influence the sustainability. Of course, directly with the companies, building their awareness and knowledge, and also they have for more than 20 years the green key free of charge, and our local label as well. And starting from next year, we have proper DMOs in place. The M in the DMO meaning management, not marketing. Estonia is a very small country, so we have more than 40 destinations, and we will now work with 7 DMOs, which I guess is a laughing number for most of you. But the DMOs will get funding if they have sustainable strategy in place, and they have also people in the sustainable focus only. So our sustainability team is really small. Those two ladies over there, Imbi and Liis. But thanks to the DMO structure, we will get expanded team of sustainability-focused people, which are regionally divided. So in case not, they won't get funded. But the Estonian Sustainability Scheme and how have we worked towards the path we are on at the moment. We had company labels and Well, after several years of trying, it didn't fly off. So the reason was behind that if we don't have the holistic view, we don't cover all the customer's journey, or also the areas where we cannot influence, visit the waste management or such, then the destinations have to step in and help us out. So we did quite a survey, what countries are using what kind of methods, and also regarding the certification, as well as Rachel mentioned, it doesn't make sense most of the time to build your own certification, so for a small country, definitely not. So we learned a lot. We found that the Slovenian model is very good. We found also that the green destination model works wonderfully for us, so we kickstarted with that, and also with the help of Good Label. We started the piloting phase in 2020. We were hoping that maybe 4 of the destinations will join the program. Instead, we got 7. I don't know if it's the sustainable mindset or the COVID just left the destinations a lot of free time to actually try it out. And in the same time, we started to train the auditors that we have the audits possible locally. We can offer that locally and in Estonian. That was a success story that I will tell you a bit about in the next slide. But right now we are creating our own structure, our own national program. We know that the things we've done so far are good, but we will anyway add more certificates under our own label as well. And the rest of the doings, I guess, is similar for many. But the sustainable phases from Estonia's point of view, the first pilot phase was a success. We did it in a limited way, so only 30 criteria, and all the 7 who piloted were listed in the Sustainable Destinations Top 100 list. The second phase was full standard, and again, all of the 7 were in the top 100, and all the 7 got Green Destination Awards. 1 even platinum. So that was a very good kickstart for us as well, that the destinations are ready, although there was a hard work, but the hygiene factor, or the nature is in a nature, is definitely in. And now we are working towards phase 3, building our own national program. So how will it be called? How many certificates will we have there? Not sure yet, but we are working towards it and learning a lot from others as well. So about our lessons learned, it is a step-by-step process. You cannot step to the final phase at once. So we've learned a lot during our phases. We have been learning a lot from our both Slovenian and Finland experience as well. As Slovenia has like 11 steps, Finland 7, right? 7-step process. Then we see it as well that the hardest part is to get the awareness and get the companies and destinations commitment. So the first steps are the most crucial to get the kind of the sense of it, the success feeling, and keep them motivated until they have to apply for certification, and that should be in the final stages or in the later phases. And it is modern tourism, so having the DMOs who are part of the local municipalities in place as well, because there is so much that they have to do, and they can influence the local municipalities as well. Yes, teamwork. We have experienced or get a lot of knowledge from Slovenia and Finland, for example, also the Sustainable Destination Program, a good place, and also it's crucial to share the experience within countries, but also within the countries, because it's a learning by doing process all the way, and it's a long way to go. And we are in the right gym. This is our team and our sustainable destination people visiting Slovenia. So this is the right gym where we feel very good at. And I'm in time. Thank you.
was a perfect ending, the slide of Estonia. It could have been my starting slide very easily. First of all, välkommen. Any Swedish speakers here? Buures Pahtin. Sami speakers? Tervetuloa. Any Finnish speakers? That was welcome in all the all the languages natively spoken in Finland. I think in Azores, in the same conference a few years ago, I think there was one Finnish speaker. So, you know, we have multiplied in a few years. Good progress. So I'm going to talk about the Sustainable Travel Finland program for you today. Thank you, Liina, for already giving a little opening about the program. But first of all, a few facts. First of all, you may have heard about our young and dancing Prime Minister, Sanna Marin. While she's not dancing, she's doing excellent job in Finland with our government under the program Inclusive and Competent Finland, Socially, Economically and Ecologically Sustainable Society. And this is also a program that our Sustainable Tourism program is aligning. And this is kind of like driving us to take that really holistic approach to sustainability that we have heard during this conference quite a bit. Our program also supports our government climate policy, which is fairly ambitious, aiming to be the first climate neutral welfare state by 2035. That's really soon. So when we started kind of choosing like which direction we should go, we couldn't like copy a ready program because we needed to have so much emphasis in climate action. We are funded by Ministry of Economic Affairs and Employment, but at the moment our actions are accelerated by EU Recovery and Resilience Fund. And thanks to this fund, I nowadays have 2 colleagues working full-time for sustainability, while actually everyone working at Visit Finland is working indirectly or directly on sustainable tourism development. But let's go to the program itself, if we get there. Yes. So we call our program more like a pathway. It's a pathway that takes all tourism stakeholders on the same journey. It has 7 steps, and like Liina mentioned, it's really the first steps are really those crucial ones, and those might really be the most difficult ones. Those are really like when you commit the destinations and businesses to take the next steps as well. The program is serving both destinations and businesses. And this is also something that when we get started, we struggled a little because we couldn't find an existing program that was serving directly both the destinations and businesses, while we wanted the whole industry to be on the same journey and everybody kind of like speaking the same language and the program kind of like defining what is sustainable tourism in Finnish context. Each of these steps, they also, looks like I won't be revealing them to you very easy. They also, there is a criteria behind each of the steps, but there are also tools. So we also give the ways how to achieve or how to take that step. So for example, step 5 means that businesses need to require a third-party certification. So we don't let them loose, just go and find a certification, but we provide all the information in one place, making it for businesses really easy to select a suitable certification and for the destination to guide that project. And for example, in step 6, we don't just ask the businesses that, hey, go ahead and provide us with your carbon footprint, but we actually give the tool on how to measure it. This is a program, and it's also a label. So those destinations and businesses who meet all the criteria will then be awarded with the Sustainable Travel Finland label. So far, we have around 1,000 businesses, and out of those, 200 have the label, and we have all destinations in Finland in the program, each and one of them, and 2 of them have been awarded with the label. For the destinations, it's a bit tricky, because they have to have at least 50%, 51% of the businesses with Sustainable Travel Finland label before they can be awarded. So it really drives the private and public sector partnerships and collaboration. So this is not a certification, nor is it GSTC recognized, but what it is, the program, it's built on the GSTC standard. We have heard from Randy today that use it, it's a free standard, use it, so that's what we've done. It's really nice when some things are free in this world. Like I mentioned, we are investing a lot in climate action, so the climate mitigation and adaptation is really a big part of our project. Finland is also really proud of having the biggest number of the Glasgow Declaration on Climate Action in Tourism signatories. This declaration is also in our national tourism strategy, which we at Visit Finland implement, and it's our work to get more signatories in this declaration and also to condense the collaboration with the signatories, and with those we are currently working on the climate action plan for the entire tourism industry. It's really important also for us that we find those common pathways, so you know that the tools how to measure your carbon footprint in the destination level and at the business level, and then the actions to decarbonize. Also in our Sustainable Tourism Indicator system, we have various indicators that help the businesses and destination, for example, to support their local biodiversity and give those means at how to actually protect this, or how to take in use those various methods to save energy, for instance. And also we need more cross-border, not just cross-border, but cross-sectoral collaboration. And this has become really significant when it comes to climate action. We can't find those solutions alone in tourism industry, and definitely not a business alone. But when we collaborate, it really reduces the work, the overlapping work, and also in this way, we can share the financial burden as well. Before I end my presentation, I want to tell you something a little bit about Finland, because last week was our Independence Day. We turned 105 years. During those years, we have traveled from being one of the absolute poorest countries in Europe to one of the most prosperous ones. So the change is possible, but we don't have another 105 years' time to solve a climate change issue or the issues with sustainable development. However, last week, our national anthem was sung everywhere. We really do love our national anthem and, you know, like happily singing along it. I don't have many people that I can speak here with my native language, but funnily enough, I can happily sing along with our Estonian colleagues, because we have the same national anthem. How about that for unity? And I think it's this kind of unity we need when it comes to the sustainable tourism development as well. So if you're planning on having a national program, unite with those who already have it and copy with pride. Don't start from scratch. And that's how we get the greater impact we all want after all. So, tack, kiitos.
Thank you very much, Liisa. Maša.
Thank you. Hello, I am Maša from the Slovenian Tourist Board, and I will be speaking about the Slovenian program of enhancing sustainable development in tourism. And I am sure you will find some parallels with what has been presented through the examples of Estonia and Finland and Switzerland. So Slovenia Green is our national program, which is and it is quite complete, quite yeah. It's not only a certification program, but it has a lot of other key components, which I'm going to present. And especially, I would like to talk about how it fits into our national strategy and how, through the Slovenia Green program, we are able to pursue our strategic goals as a country. So firstly, how it works very shortly, because people ask us this a lot. Now, Slovenia Green was developed in 2015 already, but the basis were laid years before that, and it was actually quite a long process. And already today, in the morning, we heard that all of the good things demand their time and a lot of research and a lot of analysis, and this was certainly true for the Slovenia Green, because we first started in 2009 with some manuals for hotels and so on. And then we developed the scheme in 2015. So the scheme works through this tripartite model. We at the Slovenian Tourism Board are the owner and the manager. Then we have our accredited partner, Factory of Sustainable Tourism Good Place. They also worked with Tourism Estonia, and they're really great experts. So they are in the scheme. We really couldn't be without them. And then we have our international partner, the organization Green Destinations, which I'm sure you have all heard about. And Slovenia Green is one of the models that took the already existing standard, Green Destinations, and adapted it a little bit as much as possible to the Slovenian model. What we have found great about this Green Destination standard is that it is very much internationally recognized, which was important for us, so we can compare our destinations to others, and also that it had white labels, so we could use our own logo for our Slovenian destinations. Now, it works a little bit differently for destinations and for businesses. Destinations have to go through this whole guided process. It takes about 1 year, and we help them a lot at the Slovenian Tourism Board, because we have found that this is one of the key strategies to have successful destinations. You have to give them ready-to-use tools, but you also have to give them all the information and to work with them constantly. As mentioned, this Slovenia Green label for destinations is based on the Green Destination Standard, and they can achieve one of the four levels: Slovenia Green Bronze, Silver, Gold, or Platinum. And for businesses, the process is a little bit simpler on our side, because they have to independently get one of the certificates mentioned here, either Travel Life, Green Globe, Green Key. These they have to get independently, then they contact us and they get one of the Slovenia Green labels according to their field of activity, so restaurants, accommodations, and so on. And it's similar for parks, they can get the label either way. Slovenia Green, I think, is a very complete program, because it fits very nicely into our new strategy, or better, throughout the years in Slovenia we have found that this program really expresses what we want to achieve through our tourism development and promotion. So this is our new strategy. The strategy was validated by our government in May this year, and it will be valid until 2028. And what we want to achieve is smaller footprint and more value for everyone. Now, in Slovenia, we always say that we are promoting this green boutique tourism. Of course, it's not boutique only in the way that we have, really high-class accommodations and only five-star hotels. Of course, we don't have only that. You can find countries that are much more boutique and luxurious than Slovenia, but to us, luxury means well-preserved nature and this personal approach for smaller group individuality. And this is something that we are trying to raise awareness about through the Slovenia Green program. And also in the strategy, we have found throughout this process of making the strategy that Slovenia Green is actually the perfect program for making this happen. So this is why it got one of the key pillars in the strategy. These are the 10 key policies defined as priorities for the next 6 years of tourism development in Slovenia, and the green scheme is one of them, together with human resources, investment, and many others. And I think this is a big, it was an important step for our green scheme, because it is not only a certification program, it is actually a tool important on a national level and recognized by the ministry. It is one of the main policies, and I would especially like to tell you about how the scheme addresses our aims. So our goal, when we started the scheme, we said that our goal is 100% green Slovenia. This means that we want over all of our destinations to have the Slovenia Green label, to be, recognized by an international certification body, and also that we want most of our business providers to have this label. Now, in terms of destinations, we have already achieved that. So now we need other goals. And I think the main aim of our sustainable Slovenia Green program is that it provides evaluation and improvement for more responsible tourism management. And I think this is one of the main advantages that a national program can bring to the destinations, because I think it is our job as a national tourism organization to really give the tools and the information to businesses and to smaller destinations, because businesses especially, they have a lot of work. They are, concerned with running their own business, with marketing and so on, and they want to be sustainable, but they don't have the time maybe to research everything, to find how to get started. So I think it is our job as a National Tourism Board to give them this information. And we have found that the Slovenia Green program, through this really wholesome approach, can give them this information. So one of the aims is, of course, this implementation of sustainable models in Slovenian tourism. And I would like to stress this second point, support on all levels of public management, because, as mentioned, the Green Scheme has been recognized by the Ministry in these previous years, and this means that we have been able to make a lot of parallels between our work and the work of the Ministry. For example, they give subsidies to businesses who want to get a sustainable certification, so it is not as expensive for them. We have heard in a previous panel, for example, Innovate Norway is doing something of a similar thing, and we have found the same, that this is very, very important to them. And also, it is important to have the political level on smaller destinations on board, especially mayors, because we have found through the years that tourism, of course, isn't an isolated sector, but it is very, very intertwined with other sectors, with traffic, infrastructure, culture. So we have found that destinations cannot really carry out their activities for promoting sustainability in the best way if the mayor and the political level at every municipality aren't on board. And this is something we are very much encouraging destinations on. So we want them to communicate with mayors, so it doesn't remain just a tourism project. We are also ensuring training for project coordinators who are dealing with sustainability issues in different destinations. This is also something extremely important that we have found over the years, that you can have a great national program, but if you do not have good project managers on destinations, a lot of your work will be in vain, because they will only see it as an additional obligation to get the green label, maybe for marketing purposes, maybe for something else. But Slovenia Green is really first and foremost a tool for destination management, and they have to understand this. They have to take it as a tool, and they have to invest, I think, their energy and recognize the advantages. So this is also something I think that we have to assure, that we have good human resources also at the destinations. And then lastly, we want to measure impact of tourism on a destination. Now, Slovenia Green is a quite complete program, but a lot of criteria are qualitative, which is great because it's a tool for destination management. But we want to manage our destinations also through data, because it is very difficult to manage something that you cannot measure. So this is the next big step that we are going to take. we are currently putting up a platform, a digital platform that would bring together all of the different data on tourism in Slovenia, so that we would be able to say in 2022 the complete waste in Slovenian tourism destinations was at such level, and in 2030 it got down by such and such percentage. This is something that this is going to be the next big step, I think, in the development of the scheme. Thank you very much for your attention, and I'm available for all the questions.
Thank you very much to all our panelists, and I'm sure you can agree, it's really interesting hearing about the different programs and the just slight differences in approaches, but also the common threads that draw them together. What excites me, I think, about this idea of programs at national level is not just the way that they manage to move forward sustainability and sustainable tourism, but also the way that they bring communities together to decide on the kind of tourism that they really want. They give an opportunity for businesses to have a platform and promote themselves. They give more market access to those businesses who are taking action on sustainability, and have this ability to work as tools for social and economic development as well as sustainability. So we'll go for some questions now. Liina Marie was very keen that we have a heated debate on the panel, not just all agree. So I've got some more contentious questions here as well. Let's have a look at what we've got from Slido. Thank you all very much for adding your questions, and do keep bringing them along. A question for Helena. What were the learnings from your program that you were going to share with us?
It is not a process. It's not a project. It's a process, and also the understanding, or the different understanding of sustainability, is as an approach we have very, very important. We have 13 different organizations behind the program, and the common understanding of sustainability is quite different. To find there a solid basis for the same understanding is absolutely necessary at the very beginning. And yeah, for sure. To give a framework and not to think that there is the only way, but there is a framework and it could be adapted if needed. Yeah, so a few more topics, but I think these are the most important points. So process, roles, and also the common understanding, which is a very, very important topic in our field.
Thank you. I'm glad you got time to finish that off and explain that. Well, let's go to this question for Liisa, because this was something I touched on as well, and this was the setting criteria for businesses. Setting criteria for businesses that's also linked to a city or a destination qualification. So how do you treat cities when expecting 51% of the businesses to be certified? It's a high goal, isn't it? How has that been for you, and how do you work with cities to encourage them to do that?
It is a high goal. You can still hear me? Yeah. It is a really ambitious goal, and we have had various discussions on this with many cities who are tourism destinations at the same time. But it's quite commonly agreed by the destinations that their role is not really to try to think of their own label. It's really their role to help the businesses, because it is in the businesses where the tourism happens, actually. So this has been like a really a common conversation with them, and it has also helped the destinations kind of to accept that it might not be possible for them to achieve the label. However, we have been seriously considering to providing the destination on this specific step an alternative to become certified. So then it really means that they would have to become, for example, EarthCheck or Green Destination certified, but we would then accept only the really like the certified level, and at the same time show the progress that they are doing with the businesses. So this is the discussions that we are having with the cities at the moment. However, the problem there is that then it would come with a fee, while our current program is free of charge.
Presumably it helps there that the program is also kind of built into government strategy. So they're not just hearing this need for sustainable development from you, from the tourist board, they're also hearing it from other avenues within government as well. So there's that pressure there.
Yeah, and the program helps the cities on any other destinations as well to reach their regional policies and strategies. So they also see it as a tool to take them towards their own regional goals.
Is that balance again, isn't it, between going for the really robust, setting the bar high, and compromising by having slower engagement, or going for something simpler that people can get more easily involved in, but it's less robust. Well, let's go to a question that is relevant for all the panelists then. This top-rated question at the moment is about the synergies and divergences between GSTC certification from accredited bodies and local recognised standards and certifications. How do you decide which you're going to prioritise, which you're going to recognise between the local standards and the GSTC certifications? Anyone particular want to leap in and answer that?
Yeah, well, maybe I can start, because we did a lot of thinking about that back in 2015 when we first started the scheme. And I think for us the biggest advantage of having a GSTC recognized, of using a GSTC recognized standard, is that really it is internationally comparable, and that you can always say that it is the assessment and the audits are made based on the third-party assessment. So it is really objective, and nobody can say, you know, you are doing this based on your own criteria, so you can just do it for marketing purposes. So to us, we really see there's a big advantage in that. And also in having international experience. And then what we did with our Slovenia Green Standard is that we added some of our more national characteristics, such as the demand that every destination that enters the green scheme has to sign the green pledge, and this pledge has to be signed by the mayor, so that really that also the political level knows that that the destination is doing this program, why it is doing it, and so on. Our destinations have to carry out service among tourism businesses at the destination, among locals, among visitors, and this is also an additional demand on our side. So I think you always should have something, like a national characteristic that really addresses the problems that you might perceive in your destination, and but it is really important, at least in our view, to have it that it is internationally based.
Thank you. Liisa, did
you? Yeah, I would
add?
maybe like to add there that when we started going through the certifications that which would be accept under the Sustainable Travel Finland, and initially we wanted to only accept certifications that use the criteria that is recognized by GSTC, but then we realized that we excluded most of our travel industry because we simply didn't have certifications enough to help our industry, and that's how we ended up accepting also other certifications that met all the other criteria that we had planned. But for our advantage was that then there are so many other criteria in our Sustainable Travel Finland program. So in the end, any business or destinations that go through the program, they will meet the same criteria, even if they have a different certificate.
Fantastic, thank you very much. And Liina Marie and Helena, did you want to add anything
too early for the conclusion from our side, so I'll give it to Helena.
Yeah. In our approach, we want to pick up the whole value chain. That means that we have more certification than GSTC recognized certification, and for this we have level 3 leading for the GSTC recognized certification. So this is the place where the GSTC recognized certifications are, and it's absolutely the same reason as Maša said before. It's the third party auditing. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you. I realise it's not the top question, but I'm going to use my power as moderator to pick out that last question, which says bravo for me, which thank you very much. We know that. But I think it's an important point. It's, you know, these schemes are about community development and sustainable development, not just ecology. And bearing that in mind, I have a question for the panel about whether you have prioritised communities and destinations or businesses to focus on when you're developing your programme, and what was the reason for your prioritisation? Helena, would you like to answer that one?
Let's start with someone else.
Okay, well,
I need to think about
it. From having a look at Helena's scheme, they're very focused on giving a platform to businesses, making things easier for making things easier for consumers to identify the sustainable businesses and be able to choose them, which is still a very valid route. And I believe from talking to Helena, it also, in handing the responsibility for management over for that to another body, has given them the time and space to now think about planning some of the development for communities. So, sorry to put you on the spot there. I could have answered that question for you myself. But I know some other destinations, Finland particularly, has really focused on community development, haven't you?
Yeah, well, we decided from the beginning to take this like multi-stakeholder approach, because that drives the inclusive society then. And you know, the communities are anyway like, where do you feel as a tourism? Do you feel like a hostile, or do you feel a warm welcome? So that's why it's really like important that you remember that the communities are also part of they're one of the stakeholders. And I think Slovenia is a fairly even balance, isn't it?
Yeah. Since the beginning, we've been addressing both destinations and businesses, but we have found so that maybe it's a little bit easier for us to work with destinations, because as I mentioned in our presentation, with them we go through this whole process and we explain why sustainability is important, how to use the platform, and so on. And with businesses, we only give out the Slovenia Green Label based on these third-party certificate assessments. But we have found that as a national tourism organization, we can also influence businesses through destinations. So in the green scheme, we have made the rule that a destination can get the Slovenia Green Gold or Platinum label only if they have at least one accommodation facility labeled as a Slovenia Green accommodation. And then we have also, we have these ministry programs where they can get financing. So we have found that it is easier to influence businesses through destinations, because destinations know their businesses and hotels better. They work with them in a closer way than we on a national level where we have the overview and we know the bigger businesses and hotels, but not every single one, as is the case with destinations. So this is our approach a little bit.
Thank you.
Yes, but same with us, that, well, we tried business by business approach, but it takes a lot of effort. That if the whole scheme doesn't work, then you have a disappointed customer. So in that sense, and one of the spas in Estonia said that, well, I hear you talking about the sustainable pressure from the customers, that they demand more sustainable products. But if they walk in, they just demand more saunas and more temperature in the pools. So I don't see that. So if we don't gather the communities behind also that the demand side and having a wider approach, then we are struggling with the companies saying that the temperature in the pool is too low.
I think this is really raises a really interesting point, and one that we talked about when we were planning this session, that we, as people working in sustainability, we really feel that we have to tread carefully around businesses, right? We need to make it easy for them to engage. We need to give government funding for them for these profit-making businesses to subsidize them, making their activities sustainable. And so my question to the panelists is should we be doing this? Should we be using these carrots that we're dangling in front of businesses and make it easy for them? Or should we just use the stick and say, no, you have to apply these standards, you have to do it this way? Just wondering what you think. Would anyone like to answer that?
Yeah, well, I can start, like, how we see this really, like, we can't wait for the travelers to demand and make those choices. We have to make we have to make sure, and I see it as our role, that we give the customer only sustainable choices. It's the default option. If they come through us, they will get sustainable experiences. If they want something else, they'll have to go and look for it from somewhere else. And this is like in our strategy, and this is the direction we are going. And then this sets the pressure also then for the businesses and destinations, because if you want to play with us, if you want to promote your destination or businesses with us, then that's our criteria. Get on board the Sustainable Travel Finland program, travel through it, get the award, the label, and you're with us.
And well, in Estonia or in our organization, well, the forerunners are anyway there. They understand the benefits of it and why we should do that. I guess the next phase is that kind of the FOMO, fear of missing out. If your neighbor is doing good and being recognized, then you should be feeling anxious already that why aren't you? But eventually, I guess the leftovers, the ones that are really hard to drag along, maybe they should have the stick. So as we are moving towards that, if in the end of 2027, if you haven't done anything, then you will lose something already. You will lose the services, and the government won't help you with the export services or other promotional activities because you haven't done your job. But it's a matter of communication as well. It shouldn't happen tomorrow. You should be aware that within the 5 years, you have your time frame, whether you have to use it, and we all know that in the end of 2026 they will suddenly wake up, oh gosh. But still, it's a matter of communication as well, that this is you should act on it now, because in 5 years' time you will lose the benefits.
But this is actually really important that you mentioned from the businesses that they put the forerunners put this positive pressure, but it also works in a national level. When you do things really well, we're going like, oh damn, what did Estonia do? That we have to accelerate.
So this is again being in the right gym, so we have to train your muscles all the time.
It keeps you on your toes all the time.
It does. It does.
By the end of the day, the clients decide. And I think we should show them a viable way or a viable path to develop as a tourist organizations or as tourist organizations. And yeah, they should do it. I mean, there is no other possibility at all. And this is really a really big topic and very, very you have to explain it again and again and again, and this is absolutely the right way. It should be explained again and again and again, but in the end, everyone is responsible for its own. How do you say that in English? For its own luck? No, this is just a translation from German. But
yeah.
But I think we, as a national tourist organization, can give a framework and can show them how the way could be, but the little steps should become by the businesses and the organization itself.
But what you mentioned about the customer demand, it is definitely so that the customers' demand is the driving force for the companies, but again, we see the behavioral gap.
Absolutely.
Super service that show us all that everybody is demanding sustainable tourism, and yet again they are in the spas, put some heat on. So this is the matter as well, that we are focusing on the development of the product, but how to build the overall awareness. And this is where I say that tourism has a great responsibility in that sense, that to raise the awareness and then get the people mindset shift there, because, well, everybody, we are human in the end, and then on people's level it's the hardest to change the mindset, but we see that the behavioral gap is still really, really strong.
Yeah, I really agree. I do wonder, though, as the climate and biodiversity crisis and kind of just general crises that we seem to be always going through these days, as things get more urgent, whether there is going to have to be just more pressure on companies, and that countries do get a bit more stick rather than carrot. And with that in mind, I think we've got a really interesting presentation from Turkey tomorrow, who are doing something really quite radical in that space. So we've got a question from Shane here, from Ireland, I think. Who decides the levels, Helena? Who decides the levels within Swisstainable? Was it independent or decided by the Swiss Tourism Federation? And then any pushback from the certification bodies on the levels?
For sure. We have these 3 different levels, level 2 and 3. The businesses which are on level 2 and 3 is based on the certification or how do you say that, credentials they have. And we have an independent group of experts. They are from the Lucerne University of Applied Science and Arts, and we have a set of criteria for the different certifications, if they are on level 2 or on level 3. And this decides on which level the company is classified in the end. And this is not our decision, luckily not our decision. And yes, for sure, we had some pushbacks from the labels. They ask why they are just on level 2, or why are they not on level 3? And we have to, at the first moment, we had to discuss with them that not all criteria are transparently available, and that's why they are on the first step. They are maybe on level 2, but they should be on level 3, and that's why they got an extra round, and some labels have then been classified within level 3. But for sure, there have been some pushbacks from the labels, and this is how our program developed, and this is one big thing, how the program can develop in the end. And one can see that also the labels developed within the Swisstainable program, not just the businesses and the organizations.
Thank you very much. Actually, I had a question for Maša, because obviously we only had 10 minutes in the presentations, and so you didn't have a chance to touch on this. But the opportunity to develop additional products and monetize some of these labels is I'm sure, enticing to many destinations. I wonder if you could say a little bit about some of the green routes and the green gastronomy and the green adventure, that kind of thing that you've developed alongside the Slovenia Green brand.
Yeah, this is an area that is very important to us, and something that was maybe lacking in the previous years, when one of the first goals of the scheme was to have more and more members and to have Green Slovenia. But now we have so many members and so many destinations that we have to do something with that, and also to monetize it, because when people come to Slovenia, a lot of times they ask, this is a green country, what is the most sustainable activity that I can do here? How can I travel with low carbon footprint? And this is why we developed in the past few years these Slovenia Green routes. This was in partnership with the consortium Slovenia Green, and these are tours, cycling tours that you can take, and they guide you only to destinations that have the Slovenia Green label, and to businesses and restaurants and accommodations that also have the Slovenia Green label. So this is a product that can be that can be sold, that is bookable, that is very, very, very successful, I think. And one good side of this is that it helped us also with promotion, because as a national tourism board, we also have to do, of course, promotion. And in the past few years, a lot of foreign media have noticed these efforts, and we have been recognized by National Geographic, by Lonely Planet, specifically for these routes, because I think tourism is still a business, and of course our job is to certify and to guide and to develop, but also to do something with that and to make the offer of Slovenia richer in the right way. So I think this will be the next goal, to have even more products like these Slovenia green routes.
And I think it's new. I'm sure you're all educated and enlightened because you're here and in this session, but I think a lot of national tourist organizations and even DMOs don't really recognize that people do search for sustainable products. More and more people are searching for sustainable products. And as an example, okay, I'll maybe know a bit more about sustainability than most people, but a lot of my friends would do similar searches. I was looking for a sustainable hotel in Sevilla. Not easy. No one website, no one label. Lots of hotels have sustainable in the marketing, but it doesn't really mean anything. I just want a nice, neat place I can go, like the Slovenia Green website, to find these products. And there are lots of other people like me out there. With that in mind, talking about national programs, there's a great question from Linda here that it would be useful if you can all just say a small 1-minute little summary on, but the key factors that you think are important to make a national program successful. I won't pick on anyone, but if you can just jump out.
I can start because we're in the middle of it. You're quite ready already. But our opinion is that having the clear structure, you can see the path that you are taking, and having the first steps made easy and with the small success stories is indeed crucial. That if the start is correct, then it's easier to go to the final stage. And just like a remark that on the stage there are 3 small countries. I always have to say that Estonia is bigger than Switzerland. And I never can say that, so sorry, I had to do it. And Finland, regarding population, is also a small country. That I guess maybe that is quite a benefit for our countries as well. That the smallest are easy adaptable, and then the less the people and less the destinations, then the easier. But it doesn't leave us any excuses if we haven't done so. So it's in that sense also gives us the burden that we have to be the forerunners, because it's an easier task.
Thank you. Anyone else like to comment on the key success factors?
Well, for us, I think that, because this is related to, I understood, like starting the national program, was that we did like a situation analysis so that we understood the current state. And then also we really involved all the stakeholders, that we understood that what was the will of the industry, what did they need and what did they want, and what were those obstacles for them. And then, for example, we learned that many businesses and destinations felt that they don't have enough capacity, they don't have enough knowledge or know-how, and also they don't know where to start. They say it's overwhelming just to go and try to Google how to become sustainable. You get too many hits. And so those findings were really the starting points for us. We understood that we need to be educational. We need to provide one address where you can find all the relevant information, what you need. And many other findings, what we did. And then we kept all the different stakeholders with us that we were testing. So before we launched the ready product in 2020, I would never say ready, it's a process, like you said, it's never ready, especially when it comes to the digitalization. But when we finally launched, it was so well adapted, because we were actually giving the industry what they needed. So I really think that, like, listen your partners and stakeholders, and that I think that was like one of the key factors for the success for us.
And while I've got you here, could you answer Steph's question about this ranking of countries that you talked about? Is that the 100 sustainable destinations, the green destinations listing?
Yeah, this was for me.
Oh, sorry, that was for you. Sorry.
Finland, Estonia,
yeah.
Liisa,
All
all
the
the
mixed together. It's called the Sustainable Travel Index, and well, Google it.
Does anyone else want to say anything about the key success factors for launching a program?
Yeah, I really agree with both. For us, it was the same case as in Estonia. We have found that the most important it is that you have a really simple, ready-to-use program, so that when you launch it as a national or regional tourism authority, when people ask you, how do I get a label, you just say, these are the steps, I mean, these are the standards that you have to follow. We also have workshops in place, we have lots of materials, we are in constant contact with project managers at destinations, but it really, really helps to have something simple and ready to use and understandable, so that you save businesses and people at smaller destinations this trouble of Googling how to become sustainable, because it took us as a National Tourism Board 6 years to go from manuals for hotels to certification system, and I think for a hotel that has 100 other worries, it would be much harder. So yeah, just simplicity and tools.
Yeah, there's certainly a lot of work gone into your program over the years, hasn't there? Okay, so we've got a couple of minutes left. I'm just going to ask one last question of all of you. If you could wave a magic wand and change one thing about your scheme, what would it be?
That's difficult.
Well, I can start again. This is an easy one. That's why I would not underestimate the resources needed for the digitalization. We had no idea what we started when we started. We had to learn everything about the integration, about the interfaces. We had to learn about this whole digital world where people speak different language than us. So nowadays we have digital development team, which is quite fantastic. They are doing that. So it's been a learning curve, but really we underestimated the need for smooth digital services and the cost. We misunderstood many times.
Anyone else? Anything you'd like to change, or is everything great?
Yeah, for us maybe it would be human resources to realize that it really takes a lot of time to manage a sustainable program on any level, and that it shouldn't be underestimated, that it isn't something that you can do on the side while managing the finances of your municipality and just other everyday tasks, that you really, I would love to have at every destination and at every business one person dedicated completely to sustainability and development and research, which is a very pious wish, but yeah, if I had a magic wand, it would be that.
Thank you very much.
As our national program isn't ready yet, so my magic wand would be that we would never have to use the stick.
Anything you'd like to add, Helena? Or repeat?
Maybe a special one. When I talk to our service providers, such as hotels or restaurants or even this, they say, I am certified with Swisstainable. And then I say, no, you are not certified, you are classified, because we are not a certification. Swisstainable is not a certification. It is a national program, and I think this is so important to tell again and again and again. And this is, so in the end, it's the understanding that a certification and a program, it's not the same. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a really important message, and that's one of the reasons that these national programs have been developed, right, to try and simplify things, because it is confusing. There's lots of confusing terminology and different concepts to understand, so the simpler that we can make it for businesses and for consumers wanting to buy these products, wanting to be more sustainable, the better. Thank you very much for your contribution. Apologies if I put you on the spot. I think you all did very well. Can we have a round of applause for our panel? And thank you all for your fantastic contributions. If you had questions that weren't answered, then do approach us at the end. I've got a little announcement for tomorrow, which is pretty much what's on the screen. The first day of the conference has come to an end. Tomorrow, please arrive between 8 and 9 as the first session starts at 9 a.m. So I expect you'll all arrive at 8:55. In the evening, there will be bus transfers from the Sevilla and Emilia, testing my Spanish now, Lebruna, the other one, I'm staying in the Sevilla, at 18:15, 6:15, so please be ready outside the hotel at 6:15. You can also arrive by yourself at the Lion Gate of the Real Alcazar. Please arrive before 7 p.m, as that's when the tour will begin. The gates will open again when the tour finishes around 7:45 to 8 o'clock if you're running a bit late. So buses at 6:15. If you're going to the palace yourself, arrive at 7. Thank you very much for today.